Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mandalorian! But today's episode was very good, wasn't it, Arch?
No.
It included a ton of amazing, very well thought out action sequences.
No.
And it also had some very good character development, too.
No.
Now, Arch, my dear little blonde friend.
No.
What did you enjoy? Oh, you little son of a gun.
No.
Now, Barch, today, good episode, yes? Mm-hmm.
No.
Yes?
No.
Maybe? Possibly? No? Maybe?
No.
You know, we had some pew-pews.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we did have pew-pew, see? Look, he's scaring in the affirmative. He's a bit scarred by today's episode. You'll have to forgive him. Some brain damage was accrued, so, yeah, it'll be an interesting review, to say the absolute least.
that jokes. I saw on Twitter before we watched today's episode, and Twitter was like, "Oh my god, Grogu's first words." I'm like, I'm not clicking on that. Like, I don't care. But I was at least expecting it to be something like stupid or remarkable, and they were like, he was just gonna, I don't know, it's like call Mando Dad or something, like, Dad, shut up, Dad. But no,
Dad.
They place him in the equivalent of a mechanical wheelchair and give him two buttons, one which says yes, the other which says no.
No, yes, yes, no, no, yes, yes. And it, at first, like, okay, they're trying it for a joke. I don't find it funny. Arch doesn't find it funny, so we're like, all right, whatever, you know. And then it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on, and they don't stop for a good, like, few minutes, and it's like, all right, we've entered the critically annoying section of today's episode, where he's just mashing the yes, yes, yes thing, like, over and over again. And I get it, it's supposed to be funny, it's supposed to be like, look, he's so excited to be in this cool robot, because I6 or 12, or he's 12 now, not 11, is now a, basically lobotomized droid, I want to point out, that they just stuffed Grogu inside of that he can now pilot. Because I guess they're sick of the floating chair, huh? He's got to be able to have some bipedal function.
Well, this is one of the things with Star Wars. They've never really hammered home what kind of intelligence the droids have. So it's perfectly fine to abuse them occasionally. And yet you're also supposed to feel bad for them when they're being abused.
But it's okay, Grogu did it, so they're lobotomized. I-11. So he's I-12 now.
He's indeed.
Basically brain dead. I wonder how other droids feel when they see that. Like, it's just like a living creature that's parasitic inside of its, you know, dead husk.
Well, I would imagine
it.
that they're now seeing an entity piloting the corpse of one of their fellows through the streets going, yes, 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 yes.
As if it's some sort of sick toy, some sick, twisted reality they live in. The Droid Rebellion will come, Barch. Mark my words.
Actually, that was supposed to be the plot of last episode.
The Droid Rebellion?
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
That sounds stupid.
It didn't amount to much.
Did the droids get any rights?
No.
Oh, okay, good. The status quo has been maintained.
Speaking of the
No.
status quo, so much seems to have happened in this episode, and yet so little. Like, finally, the plot gets a move on it. Like, I feel like the plot has been like almost starting now for so long, and yet it just keeps goddamn going. So they return to Mandalorian, where they realize that the Imperium has always been on Mandalorian, and they've been taking all of their Beskar ally to turn them into Mandalorian stormtroopers. Or toys, as we call them.
Yeah, toys. When we first saw them on screen, like, oh, look, new toys. And for once, these toys actually behaved a lot better. I'll give them that. These toys actually did something, unlike the last Star Wars movie where they're like, red toy, and red toy does nothing the entire movie. It's like, what was the purpose of that red toy again? It's like, toy?
Well, Red Toy do also get a little bit of a return moment here where they're like, yeah, I know Ray beat the shit out of them, but they're actually kind of badass, okay? Please buy them.
Today's episode was a toy selling one, and it showed off new stormtroopers that are basically Mandalorians, but stormtroopers, and they can fly. And apparently they're dark troopers that are wearing white armor, which is not what I would have done, but okay. Because at first I was like, oh, what are these new dudes? Some sort of jet infantry, like specialist elite troop? No, they're just dark troopers.
I think I don't know if he was referring to them or to his armor, because he was like, look, I've got new dark trooper armor. Like, it's made of Beskar. Okay.
Oh god, that's right. Gideon has a crown now on his little helmet, and it looks stupid.
Oh, by the way, yeah, somehow Moff Gideon returned.
Yeah, he's alive, by the way. He's doing pretty good.
If
They
you were
name dropped
wondering.
Thrawn too in this episode. We're like, oh, Thrawn's a thing. And Gideon's like, I would know about it because I'm super smart. Okay.
Okay, so Thrawn. The story overall is just, I like it. It feels like it just never begins. Like, I feel like
doesn't.
this
Yeah.
story could have been encapsulated in like 2 episodes, maybe 3. But because it's taken so long, you have no connection to it. Like, they talk about, the Mandalorians, they're divided people, they could never work together. And they have like one little knife fight throughout this episode because they disagree about the rules of chess. Like, really? Was that what divided Mandalorian Society for thousands of years? The disagreement over chess rules?
It's like, you're playing a peasant move. Literally, it's that. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe you just cheated. That's not even a rule, savage. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna stab you with my wiggly knife. Wiggle.
Like, and the Mandalorians have always been peaceful now. There have been a peaceful civilization who the Imperium just kind of attacked out of nowhere, and they treated them really badly.
For no reason.
For no reason whatsoever. Beyond a few
Like, despite-
genocides.
Despite them being members of the Empire, they just sort of bombed them, for good measure.
Force a shit sense of giggles. And the Mandalorians never did anything wrong, but there was always never an enemy that could defeat the Mandalorians, despite for all of those other enemies that have defeated the Mandalorians over the years,
Yep.
I guess.
Let's not talk about the Mandalorian Wars, or the fact that they lost that. And that was the reason why they scattered across the stars into clans, too. Oh, gosh, the Disney retcons here are painful to get through. It's hard to be like, okay, what is the canon now? Like, what's the Mandalorian thing now? It's like, oh, we're following the Clone Wars TV show, where it's like, yeah, they used to be, like, peaceful for a little bit. It's like, oh, okay, that was stupid.
And
They were,
speaking
like,
of,
hyper-pacifists.
scattered across the stars, actually, there are survivors. There are Mandalorians on Mandaboria, actually. They've been
Yeah.
living here for a while now, just, eating each other's turds and hunting monkeys across the underground passages of their homeworld, I guess. They've got wooden ships because, they figured they needed them.
It's got metal sails, too. I don't know why, but it does have metal sails.
Captures the wind pretty good,
Yep, with that metal ship that's very heavy. It's got skids and it rides along the surface. And they're like, they see the crew arrive, all right, because they're coming to see that the planet's okay. And they're like, do you have any food? We're hungry. It's like, these guys are like on the verge of death. Been waiting, been fighting. They find out their queen, McQueen, basically surrendered. They're basically the Japanese soldiers from World War II. They kept fighting. Got the disappointing news that their queen was a little bit of a coward. The look of defeat was palpable today.
I also like the fact that even the Mandalorians on Mandaboria don't seem to know the threats that are on Mandaboria, because there's an enormous turtle thing that has been sleeping beneath the ground, and they see it from, like, a long way off, and the Mandalorians are like, put on your helmets, okay, turn away.
We're gonna
Stop.
keep driving towards it. It's like, we could stop, we could turn away, we could do anything. Like, no. Hold your course and put on your helmets. Everyone takes like 5 minutes to put on their helmets. Like, oh no, it's too late. It's like, dude, seriously, you could just turn. And you're right. They not only they've been on the friggin' planet for all this time, and they know where the forge is because they rediscovered it, but they didn't find the giant friggin' Imperial base that has been built underground there, which I would assume, would probably catch your notice. Like, oh, there's active garrisons and patrols and stuff here.
See, that's
Apparently
another good point too, because there's an entire Imperial garrison on this planet and it's not something that's been built last weekend. Like, there's fully fortified, standardized structures embedded into the rocks. There are hangars for TIE interceptors and bombers. There must be an enormous logistical supply system to keep all of this up and running. You know, fuel, ammunition, spare parts, energy, etc.
Yeah, this is a pretty big operation they have down here. In fact, it's a miracle these guys didn't pick up on it, considering how large it is. Because especially considering that, okay, in order to be supplied, in order for Moff Gideon to even get here, he would have had to come through shuttle, you know? He would have had to enter orbit. And, you know, considering these people have been wandering around, and they've been doing it for so long, it would only take you to notice, like, oh, hey, there's some transports coming down to build this thing. The last, I don't know, few years.
I mean, there would have been continuous shuttle runs of materials.
Yes, to build this base. And the fact that the Empire also just let these guys waddle around. They also claim that there were many other survivors, and there are other survivors sort of scattered around the planet.
Yes.
So the Empire's not mopping this up, you know, cleaning up the leftovers, so to speak.
Well, we
Any potential problems.
We need those survivors so that Womexon can rally them to save a side character from himself.
Oh yeah, side character. The guy who's not even on set or even in the show besides phoning in his voice lines because, you know, there's no reason for him to be here.
Yes,
in fact, I just found out today, by the way.
We should adjust his name. A side character's stuntman stand-in gets captured by the toys. And they don't kill him because...
Obviously. He's two main characters.
He's got a little bit too much plot armor still. They do, however, kill off Big Boy. Because they needed... Because Big Boy is... He can close the door at any time to save everybody, whilst Womexon is carving a hole in the rear of their little hatchy thing. But...
Yeah, but they're Darksaber.
Yes. Because they're trapped, because there's an enormous base under there, yada 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 yada. And at any point, he's right next to the goddamn door control, so he could just be like, right, I'm gonna close the doors now and roll underneath the doors like everyone does in action movies. He doesn't. Instead, he closes the door with himself on the other side, and then just looks back at Womexon and goes like, there's too many of them, and I really hate my kid. Do you have any idea how tiring parenting is? I'm gonna die now.
I'm gonna die now. I'm pressing this door. I'm gonna get a really cool send-off. And he kills like a bunch of little Imperial dudes. And then you're like, oh, maybe he'll live. Maybe he'll do something interesting with this. But you know deep down that they're not. And then that's when the red stormtroopers arrive with their little shock sticks that are also like swords.
Yes,
spears,
because the entire point of this, because everyone was taking the piss out of the Praetorian Guard. Because they were absolutely useless at protecting Grandmaster Snickers. And now they've got to redeem them. It's like, oh, dudes, they're totally dangerous. Look, they kicked the ass of that like big dude you liked.
Oh no, he died. See, big dude was kind of like endearing because he was big dude and he had big dude gun. But now there's nobody. We don't have big dude and big dude gun anymore. So.
Well,
I was gonna say it.
I'm sure the dude that he cucked on the boat will pick up his gun and be like, I will carry big dude gun now in honor of big dude.
I'll rig big dude's son too. And then he'll realize that his big dude son's just as much of a disappointment because he lost to Grogu. See, that was the real reason, Arch. His son lost to Grogu, a small green alien. Yep. And because he was such a racist, he couldn't stomach the thought of the shame, so he had to kill himself.
Son, you are a larger disappointment than I could ever imagine. Gonna go die now.
Gonna kill myself. Good luck. I mean, I would do it, you know?
Yeah, he's lying there. There's little special effects smoke wafting up from his corpse, and it's like, I have no regrets except having that son.
That awful child as he's stabbed with another spear.
Oh god, no, it's... okay, we actually skipped entirely over the point that we were actually going to talk about, because the plot is just... God, again, I've been saying, we're on episode 7 now, and now that the plot has finally revealed itself, what is the plot? Well, the plot is that they're rebuilding the Imperium strength, and that they're launching Project Necromancer, which is, you know, somehow Palpatine returned. Like, great. But
somehow Palpatine returned. Yeah.
for a second there, they've got a little bit of a secret like boys club meeting where they're all playing around with holograms, where they name drop Thrawn, and that's the one interesting part because Grand Moff Gideon Tarkin Breaking Bad. There you go.
But you got it right the first time.
There you go. He's like, I haven't heard anything about Thrawn returning. You sure this isn't just bullshit? And that's the one thing they might be doing right. Because the thing is, Thrawn should be treated like a Jesus character. He should be treated like Moriarty. He should always be not seen. He should be felt, not seen. You should, feel the effects of his plots. He should be this overarching, dark, hanging character. You should not be allowed to fight Thrawn, and if you do, you need to lose.
Yeah, they need to build up, because if they're actually teasing like Thrawn being a thing in this at some point, like they need to build him up the way he's actually meant to be, where Thrawn is always thinking a couple steps ahead of you at every turn. And Gideon may be intelligent, but he's no Thrawn. So, like, he should be literally either playing into his hands or literally not even a factor.
Because, again, Thrawn needs to be the biggest, baddest bad here. Like, even if you beat him, he needs to be seen, like, stepping on a shuttle immediately afterwards with a smart-ass smirk on his face, like, all according to plan, like Kakadori.
And Kakadori, it's like, you may have done this, but meanwhile I was fucking your wife.
Yes. Like, he cannot be just another villain. Because I'm hoping they understand that, and they talked as if they maybe kind of understood that in this one, but...
low expectations. Honestly, they should just get the author of the fucking Admiral Thrawn trilogy and have him handle it. That would probably save them a lot of headache, at least translating it into script form. Because that is how you handle Thrawn. Like, he's cold, he's calculating, and he's always, he's got his interests of his men at heart, even though he's not, the most warmest leader. He's a good leader. It should be intimidating. It should be scary. You should not be able to outwit Thrawn when it comes to tactics.
Now, that does also introduce a worrying factor. If Thrawn is now proper canon, because his position within Disney Wars has always been a little bit wobbly, like he's shown up in I think Ahsoka, like the Rebels
he showed up
or
in
whatever.
Rebels, and they fucking they messed him up in Rebels. They did him dirty too.
Of course
God,
they did.
because he gets like outwitted by a bunch of friggin' kids.
Of course he does.
That was painful.
But if Thrawn is canon, what does that mean for Disney Wars series? Like, okay, what about the First Order? Was he involved? What about Project Necromancer? Was he involved in that? The secret Imperial Shadow Fleet? Did he not know? Like, where was he?
Yeah, what was he doing? Because Thrawn should be Thrawn is literally going to be, and the reason why, because they refer to him in such a way that one of the other warlords is like clearly like putting a lot of stock in Thrawn because he understands the importance of Thrawn. It's almost acting like Star Wars Legends lore, even though it's not, by the way, where a lot of the Empire knows at this point that, well, he's the best chance they have at resurrecting the Empire.
Yes.
Like he is the winning dog, so to speak. He's the best hope they have of ever standing a chance against the New Republic and all the other warlords.
Yes, like they speak of him as if he is the grand savior who will return. All of this is his long plan. And he is probably like one of, if not the highest ranking Imperial officer still kicking about. So that opens up a whole heap and heck of a lot of questions. See, we're getting that superhero universe problem, aren't we? Where you have to ask yourself the question, okay, Batman is doing something dumb. Where the hell is Superman? Or vice
where
versa?
is he? Like, where is Thrawn in all this? Because Thrawn is, if anyone can do anything to restore the Empire, where's Thrawn? And if Thrawn is gonna be in this show, then what the hell happens to Thrawn where he's absent in the new trilogy? Like, how are you gonna explain that? Because him just sort of idly staying by in the First Order, not having anything to do or against the First Order, makes no sense. Like, there's a huge disconnect there where Thrawn, old Empire, and then First Order, like, these two entities are not the same. They're very different, so you can't really have them coexist. So it's like, well, this seems like a plot hole just waiting to blow up in their face, or just to get the most crappy, like, hand-wavy bullshit answer I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, because, okay, if now he is part of Disney law on forming the First Order and Project Palpatine, etc., where the hell was he?
Yeah, because he's a predominant character.
Yeah, like, if this was all part of his plan, or he knew about it, surely he would have been there when Palpatine was brought back, you know, somehow?
Yes, that would be the thing. Like, there's a reason why Palpatine singled him out and, like, had him as, like, a sort of a right-hand sort of man when it came to a lot of problems or tasks. Because Thrawn could get almost anything done. And the fact that he's completely absent from the Palpatine Return plot, which is cringe as hell, is completely silly. It's like, you know, Belisarius not being... It's like Justinian and Belisarius, you know, it's like the right-hand general, your right-hand man, and just literally not using him. It's like, he's my best guy. Yeah, but I'm gonna ignore him.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do with this, because I'm kind of curious, but at the same time, like, knowing where the canon goes, and the fact that the New Republic doesn't matter, none of this really matters because it's gonna blow up in a throwaway scene anyways, makes me wonder if it's just he's gonna have like a throwaway death or something stupid if they do use him.
Yeah, they kill him or defeat him somehow, and I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Like, I feel like no matter how they bring him back, considering we know the future, it's gonna suck.
Because let's just look real quickly, because they've done this before. What did they do to General Grievous in the Star Wars Clone Wars TV show? They made him into a Scooby-Doo villain. He wasn't imposing, he wasn't scary like the micro-series, and, you know, a bloody war criminal. He's like a throwaway Saturday, you know, cartoon villain. Just like they did to Dooku. They've done almost every villain dirty, like, historically here. So it's like, chances are they're gonna do Thrawn even dirtier, you know?
Yes, odds are good. He's like, maybe they'll set him up as the next bad guy, like, because Womexen will go out and she'll rally all of the Mandalorians, and the Mandalorians will take over Moff Gideon's base, and they'll realize that no, we're actual Mandalorians. Even if you've got like Beskar armor, we're still more Mandalorian than you, and they'll defeat them, and they'll save side characters, stunt double, and then Moff Gideon will like fly off planet and go like, "Oh, help me, Thrawn." Thrawn will appear in the hololith like, "He has returned." And Thrawn will like, "Finally, you can help me on my revenge." And he's like, "No, failure." And then the season will end, and they'll be like, "So, are you going to pay for another season?"
You want Thrawn to come back? Like, that seems like the trump card, honestly, here. Is prepare Thrawn for the season finale as a cliffhanger.
Yep. Have him step into the hololithic platform, or turn around slowly, or, you know, one of those intros.
His red glowing eyes, like, beating into it. It would be really cool, and it would trick a lot of people into coming back.
Yes, it tricked me into coming back.
Because then we can watch another character be character assassinated in front of us, and that'd be great. Oh, God. That's not funny. That's tragic, actually.
Yes, 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 yes.